In the quiet Mexican state of Durango, a shocking and heartbreaking case has captured attention across Latin America. A 14-year-old girl, Paloma Nicole Ariano Escobedo, has died under circumstances that are not only tragic, but also shrouded in disturbing allegations of medical negligence and secrecy. At the center of this story is Paloma's father, Carlos Ariano, who is now demanding answers. He believes his teenage daughter may have undergone cosmetic surgeries performed by her stepfather, who is a plastic surgeon, and that those procedures may have contributed to her death. A father's last conversation. On September 12, 2024, Carlos received word from his ex-wife, Paloma Jasmine, that their daughter was going on a trip to the mountains. It seemed like nothing out of the ordinary, just a simple outing. But only 3 days later, on September 15th, everything changed. Carlos got a sudden phone call from his ex-wife, telling him that their daughter had fallen seriously ill. According to her, Paloma had contracted COVID-19 and was in the hospital. The details, however, were murky from the very beginning. Some reports suggested she was in a public hospital, while others pointed to a private clinic. When Carlos and members of his family rushed to the facility, they found Paloma in critical condition. She was in an induced coma and had been intubated, unable to breathe on her own. A shocking death. Despite medical intervention, Paloma did not recover. On September 20th, just 8 days after her supposed mountain trip, she passed away. Her mother and her mother's partner, the plastic surgeon stepfather, immediately took control of the arrangements. They arranged for her body to be moved quickly to a funeral home. For Carlos, this was deeply suspicious. Why the rush? Why weren't investigators given full access before her body was taken away? Local prosecutors later confirmed that a 911 call had been made about the death of a minor. But by the time they arrived, Paloma's body was already gone from the hospital. That move limited the ability of authorities to immediately examine her or preserve potential evidence. The discovery at the funeral. The real turning point in this story came during the funeral services. As Carlos saw his daughter's body, he noticed something that devastated him all over again: surgical scars. This was not something he expected, and not something that made sense given the official story of her death. According to him, the scars suggested that Paloma had undergone plastic surgeries. She was only 14, too young in his eyes to have made such a decision on her own. He began to suspect that her stepfather, the plastic surgeon, had carried out procedures on her with her mother's consent. The official cause of death. The death certificate did not mention surgeries at all. Instead, it reportedly listed respiratory illness, possibly related to COVID-19, cerebral edema, swelling in the brain, hypoxic encephalopathy, brain damage caused by lack of oxygen, bradycardia, and abnormally slow heart rate. On paper, it looked like her death was linked to an illness, but Carlos could not reconcile that explanation with the scars he saw on his daughter's body. Questions that demand answers. This case raises a series of haunting questions. 1. Did Paloma undergo cosmetic surgeries before her death? If so, what kind of procedures were performed on a 14-year-old? Were they safe or even legal for someone of her age? 2. Could those surgeries have caused or worsened her condition? Cosmetic surgeries, especially invasive ones, carry risks. Infection, complications from anesthesia, or blood clots can be deadly. If Paloma had indeed contracted COVID-19, undergoing surgery would have made her body even more vulnerable. 3. Why were funeral arrangements handled so quickly? Was it an attempt to prevent a full investigation? Why was the body moved before prosecutors arrived? 4. What responsibility do the adults hold? If the stepfather did perform surgeries, could he face charges of negligence, malpractice, or even manslaughter? If the mother allowed it, is she equally responsible? The father's fight for justice. Carlos has been outspoken since the funeral. He took to social media to share what he saw and what he suspects. He has publicly accused his ex-wife and her partner of endangering and ultimately causing his daughter's death. He is demanding that prosecutors fully investigate both the stepfather and his ex-wife. He also wants to know whether there was a cover-up and if authorities failed to act quickly enough to preserve the truth. A case that resonates beyond one family. No. This story has resonated not only in Durango, but across Mexico and internationally. It touches on larger issues: medical ethics. Should a surgeon ever operate on a minor for cosmetic reasons? Parental responsibility. What role did the mother play, and did she fail in her duty to protect her child? Legal accountability. If these allegations are proven, could this case set a precedent for how similar situations are prosecuted in Mexico? For now, the official cause of death remains what is written on the certificate: complications from illness. But the evidence of scars, the suspicions of the father, and the strange timeline have made this case a mystery, demanding answers. Conclusion. At just 14 years old, Paloma Nicole Ariano Escobedo's life ended far too soon. Whether her death was purely the result of illness, or whether it was tied to cosmetic procedures allegedly performed by her stepfather, is still unknown. What is certain is that her father is not giving up. He wants the truth, he wants accountability, and he wants to ensure that what happened to his daughter never happens to another child again. This story is still developing, and only a thorough investigation will reveal whether Paloma's scars were the key to uncovering a much darker reality.